Hey everybody, it's John Burke from Ladera Ranch, California. Today for assignment 6, I'm going to talk about my Nord stage synthesizer, and I'm going to talk about the modules within the synth section: the oscillator, the filter, the amplitude envelope, and the LFOs. Okay, let's get started. Of the 3 hardware synths I use when I perform, the Nord stage is my very favorite because of its synth section. It's easy to use but very powerful. One can easily create custom patches and even tweak parameters and effects in live performance because the synth section is organized very well into the familiar modules we learned this week: oscillator, amp envelope, filter, LFOs. And the knobs make it easy to tweak a patch compared to a lot of hardware synths where typically one has to use a more cumbersome patch editing interface accessed via a display on the synth to make changes. Here's the oscillator module of the synth section. Notice there's 3 types of synthesis available: analog, also known as subtractive synthesis, which is the type we've been studying this week; FM stands for frequency modulation synthesis; and digital synthesis, which is a collection of unique waveforms that have been created and sampled by the Nord engineers. Now the wave buttons here allow one to choose from various waveforms, and let me show you the list of waveforms that the Nord stage supports. Give me a second here. Pull this down, open that up. Okay, we see that the following waveforms are supported: sawtooth, pulse, and that's the same as square wave, triangle, cosine, and noise. Now, the timbre knob here controls parameters specific to waveforms that change the color of the sound. And the timbre control knob here allows one to either link the timbre settings to the amount of velocity, how hard one presses the keys, or to link the timbre settings to the modulation envelope here, which is a type of LFO. And one of the cool things about the Nord synth section is how one can have up to 9 oscillators per patch using this unison knob here, which allows one to create really fat patches. Okay, here's the low-pass filter section. It's really powerful on the Nord because one can map this knob to a pedal or the wheel or joystick, allowing the performer to sweep the low-pass filter in live performance, which creates really cool effects and allows one to really match the effects you hear on dance, pop, and EDM recordings. Also notice this resonance knob where one can accentuate the cutoff frequency of the filter, the so-called Q value. And again, this frequency control knob allows one to link the filter settings to keyboard touch sensitivity or route them through the modulation LFO section for more complex dynamic sounds. Here's the amplitude envelope section. And notice the attack and release knobs here and here. Rather than having separate knobs for decay and sustain, notice that on the Nord stage, the user selects a waveform pattern here that represents the type of decay, sustain, and release that one desires. Now, this model of Nord stage doesn't have a separate LFO module per se, but instead has LFO features sprinkled around the whole synth section. For example, here is a vibrato section, which is a delay type of LFO, as we learned this week in class. And notice there are 3 types of vibratos available to choose from, and the amount of vibrato can be assigned to a wheel or controlled by aftertouch. Finally, the Nord stage has 64-voice polyphony compared to the single voice that we saw in the simple synth patch used in this week's lectures. Although notice that here is a button that allows one to switch from mono to polyphony. Okay, well there it is. That's the synth section of the North Stage. It's an amazingly powerful yet easy to use synth engine. For me, as a keyboard player in pop and dance band format cover bands and wedding bands, I've found the North Stage synth engine to just be the best tool I can use. It far outperforms any of my other synthesizers here in terms of its ability to allow me to accurately match the patches of just about any song. Okay everybody, have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.